talking Khamzat Chimaev, the guy we've been talking about for years and years and years and years, but definitely at least a year, well over a year. 2 minutes in the octagon, we finally have a matchup, and that comes by way of Paulo Costa. In case you missed this last night, which I don't know how you could, everyone's talking about it. Khamzat Chimaev versus Paulo Costa, co-main event. Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira, main event, lightweight title on the line. And it's unbelievable. To get one is crazy because we've been waiting. To get two, I mean, you're talking two of the biggest names in the sport. Islam and Khamzat are going to be fighting in Abu Dhabi at UFC 294. And it's crazy that Charles Oliveira gets a rematch. It's crazy that Khamzat gets to smash Paulo Costa, giving it away a little bit. But you guys know me, right? I mean, Khamzat is number one on the do list. He's number one. Islam number 3. Charles Oliveira number 7. So 3 of the top 10 are going to be in action. And in case you're wondering, no, we don't got Paulo Costa even in the top 50, even though we only do it to the top 20. He won't even be in the top 50. Not one of my favorite fighters. But for me to get this news, number one, the messages started coming at 12:01 in the morning. Probably woke up about 4, not feeling the best, head spinning, nose running. And I see this, and then it's hard for me to sleep after that because this is crazy. I mean, Khamzat and Islam on the same card. Now, we just saw one of the best cards ever at UFC 290. This one is going to be the biggest card of the year in the build-up to it. And we'll see what happens in the end. But this is going to be bananas. I mean, it's going to be bananas. 2 of my top 3 favorite fighters. Got to put Jon Jones at 2, though, because, you know, we love that guy, right? I mean, we love Jon Jones. And he goes in there and captures the heavyweight title. But these other 2 up there, you know, we believe Khamzat will be anyone in the welterweight, middleweight, and for the most part, light heavyweight division. Although that'll be later. That'll be later. First, get a taste of him at 185 pounds. He went in there and just demolished Gerald Meerschaert the last time he fought at middleweight, 17 seconds, and looked huge. Started looking real skinny when he went down to welterweight. Now all of a sudden, he's moving up to middleweight, doesn't really have to worry about cutting too much weight, maybe a little bit. I think he's walking around 190, 195 now, even though he said 205. He could fight at 205, but I don't know if he's walking around at 205. But maybe 195, 200, somewhere between 190 and 200. That's where I think Khamzat is at. That's where I think he's at. So that's going to be exciting to see him not have to cut weight. And then Islam versus Charles. You know, had Charles Oliveira win in the last fight. We'll see in a little bit in the prediction. Very tough fight because we got Islam up there in the top 3. But we had Charles ahead of him in the first fight, and we predicted Charles. So I'm very conflicted because Charles Oliveira is one of my favorite fighters too. I'm very, very conflicted in that fight. But without wasting any more time, let's just get right into it because, again, this is what we've all been waiting for, a date for Khamzat and an opponent. As we heard Jared Cannonier, we heard other fighters for a while. None of them come to fruition. The UFC had time and patiently waited and then teased us with Aliskerov versus Costa. And now we finally get the fight that we thought wasn't going to happen. So let's get into it. This is Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev. Check it out. In the middleweight division at UFC 294, this is your co-main event. You got Paulo Costa, the Brazilian, coming in at 14-2, taking on, you're not going to believe this, Khamzat Chimaev coming in undefeated 12-0, and it's about time. The speculation is over, and we have a big fight in Abu Dhabi. This is a big fight. Khamzat, 1 inch taller at 6'2". He's 29, still in his 20s. Paulo Costa, 32. Both guys in their prime. Khamzat, 3-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys very active. Khamzat, 7.3 significant strikes per minute to 6.5 for Paulo Costa. Now, when you get into the takedown game, Khamzat, 4 takedowns over the course of 3 rounds, so over 1 per round. Paulo Costa, nearly, or not even close to 1 over the course of 3 rounds. He lands 1 once every 6 rounds, so not very good there for Costa. But he does have good takedown defense, 79%. That allows him to play into the striking. Against Luke Rockhold, he won by decision in his last fight. He did lose to Marvin Vettori and Israel Adesanya. Before that, he beat Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall, Johnny Hendricks. And the Luke Rockhold win was a big one. But that's his biggest win of his career. Khamzat beat Kevin Holland in his last fight by submission. 2 minutes and 13 seconds in. He beat Gilbert Burns. He beat Li Jingliang, Gerald Meerschaert, John Phillips. And you can continue going back. And you got a 1 by almost every fight. First round, except Gilbert Burns was in the 3rd. And John Phillips took him into the 2nd, but it was 43-1. And John Phillips was the only guy to land 1 strike on him in his first 4 fights. So Khamzat is ridiculous. And you know, here on the Community MMA, he's number 1 on our dude list. So it's very difficult for me to go against Khamzat. It's just not going to happen. I think he beats anyone on the planet. Welterweight, middleweight, and potentially even light heavyweight later in the career. He should win this fight. He will win this fight. But most importantly, I'd like to see him dominate in this fight. In my opinion, Khamzat wins this fight, likely on the feet. I mean, Paulo Costa does have good takedown defense. He's a big guy. It's going to be like the Gilbert Burns fight for Khamzat, because it's a big step up, and he's got to get past all the question marks and things like that. Although he has no question marks, but in terms of the fans and the hype. So this is going to be like the Gilbert Burns fight. The difference is that he's not going to be depleted in weight. It's right at the weight he wants to be. And regardless of what things look like with Paulo Costa coming at Khamzat behind the scenes, things like that, Khamzat should mop the floor with this guy. Again, in my opinion, he'll move to 13-0, middleweight division, UFC 294. Yeah, I mean, should there be any question, he's number 1 on the do list, right? I mean, you know we're going with Khamzat. If you watch the show, you know we're doing. That's one of the few predictions we'll ever do where you're not really sure. That one you're sure. You know I'm going with Khamzat. I mean, this guy's an animal. He's the best fighter on the planet, pound for pound, right now. I don't care who else is ranked above him or who else is up there right now. It's just a matter of time. It really just comes down to time. And this is another step up, and now he's going to be ranked high in both the welterweight and middleweight divisions, if I'm correct. Which I completely believe I will be in this fight. And there'll be a loud roar when he wins this one, because now it's going to be a lot harder to hide from him. A lot harder to hide from him. Leon can fight Colby. Adesanya can fight Dricus du Plessis, whatever. Let it all play out how it must. Maybe we get some rematches and trilogies out of those, and Khamzat's on hold, but he's coming. He's coming. Make no mistake about it. And I'm excited. I'll take any fight, but at least it's a top-ranked guy that's up there in the division that can allow Khamzat to get into or very close to the top 5. That's what it comes down to. Now, you also got Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira main event. In case you didn't know, it just gets better. Can you imagine after the Khamzat Costa fight, then you got Islam and Charles in the rematch, and who really knows what's going to happen? That last fight for Islam looked closer, but that was Volkanovski. So it's a very tricky fight, and Charles Oliveira is going to be hungry. Because like Colby, it's sort of like his last chance when he fought Usman. Colby gets another one. Max Holloway might eventually get another one, but you only get so many, and you got to take advantage of this if you're Oliveira. In the light heavyweight division, for the light heavyweight division title at UFC 294, you got Islam Makhachev, 24-1, taking on Du Bronx Charles Oliveira, who comes in at 34-9. And a win got him back in this situation. Islam needs to win this fight to free himself up to maybe go toward the welterweight belt, but we'll see. Both guys 5'10", both in their early 30s. Oliveira 3-inch reach advantage. He fights right-handed. Islam fights southpaw. Now, Du Bronx lands 3.5 significant strikes per minute. Islam 2.4. But the difference is a takedown game. Islam 3.2 over the course of 3 rounds. So he's right at 1 per round. And then once he gets you there, it's hard to get up. Du Bronx 2.3 over 3 rounds. So nearly 1 a round, but just shy of that. Islam 90% takedown defense. Got a win over Volkanovski last fight, but it wasn't easy. Dominated Charles Oliveira the first time by second round submission. Beat Bobby Green by KO. Submitted Dan Hooker. Now Oliveira, 55% takedown defense. That's a problem. In other fights, he gets taken down and he can do something from his back, but not against Islam. Oliveira beat Beneil Dariush by first round KO. A lot of people didn't see that coming. Of course, he lost to Islam, beat Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, just everybody. Beat everybody. Not named Islam Makhachev. And this is a very tough prediction for me because I want to see Charles Oliveira win, but we also got Islam higher on the dude list, right? That's like a favorites list, but guys that are also very good, that are hard to beat, right? Khamzat Chimaev, John Jones, then Islam, number 3. Charles Oliveira is in the top 10 as well. So I'd like to see Charles Oliveira win. If you didn't see the first, prediction for the first fight, but at the same time, in keeping with the dude list and keeping with the predictions, got to go with Islam Makhachev here to repeat what he did before. I just think Volkanovski found some holes in his game, but Volkanovski's low to the ground. He's a hard guy to take down, get in the grip, keep him there. Volkanovski was able to get up. Charles Oliveira has a little bit tougher of a time, so he's got to really improve on the takedown defense quick and try to keep the fight standing long enough to where he can beat Islam on the feet. Easier said than done. Islam wins potentially by decision. This could be a long fight. We'll see. But Islam wins, in my opinion. Retains the lightweight belt in a lightweight division at UFC 294. Yeah, man, very tough prediction because, again, Charles Oliveira is one of my favorites. One of my favorites. And if he wins, I'll give up this prediction. Because a lot of times we're rooting for the prediction 99.9% of the time, but in a fight like this, we're rooting for Charles Oliveira against a prediction. And some people don't understand that sometimes. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You can predict against the guy you like because you got to keep it real. I think Islam wins the fight, but I want to see Charles Oliveira, aka Du Bronx, get the victory. That's the bottom line. It's real simple.
He's gonna fight, wait, he's gonna fight, wait, hold your breath till the end of the night. Last fighter call, UFC at its height, yeah. Bringing that thunder with all his might, saying step up, wanna fight, hold up, think twice, gladiator, assassin, reckless, no abandon, walk through that cage, he'll leave your ass stranded. Wake up, hey, where you at, hey, got hit in the head with a baseball bat.